Show, the space where we unpack conversations about money, mindset, and everything in between. So if you're someone who's just starting out your professional career or you're starting a family, tune in. You can find our videos on all our social media platforms. That is our YouTube. You can search Conversations That Matter with Wendy Zondo, or you can look for us on TikTok, Conversations That Matter with Wendy Zondo. So today I am sitting with someone that has not only survived in the insurance space, but also mastered the art of financial planning. His story is particularly interesting because it doesn't only revolve around products and policies, it also has real client impact. So, Mr. Magoja, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Okay. Yeah. It's English or Israel?
What is acceptable?
What is acceptable? Okay. I will. Yeah. Very good morning to Wendy and good morning to the viewers. My name is Israeli. Israeli Magoja from Gagasili Brokers. I'm a wealth manager corner, a broker principal, and a key individual.
Oh wow, that's many titles. That's many titles in one. So before we get to the big lessons and industry gems, I'd like you to take us back a bit in regards to how you started your career in this industry and how it's been so far.
Okay. Well, interesting. The history of Kakasini Brokers, it started and it evolved as a family business. It was started by my father in about 1993. After he left one of the large insurance companies, he felt he had what it takes to go out on his own, and he was a very popular guy out there. It first started as Jay's Insurance Brokers. Jay was his nickname, but when the business started to succeed, he felt it important that he give it structure, and that's why then we came up with the name Kakasini Brokers, which
The
is
waves.
the waves, of Etewine Kakasini. And so the journey of Kakasini Brokers began then. Now my formal introduction into the business was in 2003 when I started working, but I always joke and say that by the time I actually started working, I'd been in business for 5 years.
Yes, it's been exposed.
No, because for me, school holidays were about coming into the office, being an extra pair of hands. But it's also just that was my introduction into the industry and starting to learn and understand how the industry works just by doing.
Yes.
And I think it was in those early years that my interest and passion for the financial sector began, and since then I've followed what's happening in the economy, what's happening in the markets, what's happening with investments, insurance. How does the economy all work? And so when my father said I have to have a conversation with the young man, he laid out his plans and vision for the business, and how he wanted us as his children to feature as part of his succession plan. And fortunately, it wasn't something that was forced on us. It was something that was presented as an opportunity, and for me, it was something that was a natural step, because I was already interested in what's happening in the economy. When we're young, we all want to eventually run our own businesses, and I was fortunate enough to be in a space, in an environment that presented that opportunity.
That enabled
you. But it wasn't handed to me on a silver platter. I've really had to earn it. There's nothing I've not done in the business, from sweeping to cleaning to coming up with strategy, to selling to training, and ultimately here I am now, running this business as part of our family legacy.
That is absolutely amazing and inspiring to hear that your father did such a great thing that he not only passed down the knowledge, but you also passed on the legacy of running a business. And I hope it's something that you are also willing to do to your kids, which is to pass down the legacy.
Oh, of course, of course. You know, in our motto or creed as a business, I like to make reference to a scripture in the Bible, which is Proverbs 13, verse 22. For a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Now, our business, our industry, is about how then do we ensure that we leave an inheritance? How do we ensure that we leave a legacy in our families? That's what insurance does. That's what investing does. And the beauty of that is that what I preach to people out there, it's part of my lived experience, and that's what keeps the passion
Burning.
the passion burning for what our business is about and for what we want to help our clients to achieve ultimately as well.
Okay. I'm very grateful that you're here sharing this experience with us, and that your history not only impacts the type of financial planner that you are, but it also impacts the type of person that you are. So before we get into it, I wanted to ask you, what qualifications do you hold in the industry?
Right. In the industry, I hold a national certificate in wealth management. I've done my regulatory exams, regulatory exam 1 and 3 for key individuals, and regulatory exam 5 for representatives. And I'm currently busy with my advanced diploma in financial planning.
Interesting. I hope you did hear that he is indeed learned and equipped to give you proper financial planning, which is something that we always speak about in regards to when you're looking for a financial planner, look for an authorized financial planner that has all the tools. You can't hire a mechanic that doesn't have tools to fix your car. So why hire a financial planner that isn't equipped to help you build your finances, to help you structure your finances? So you said you getting into the industry was planned and executed and also a legacy. What do you have to say to someone who is just starting out? They see the long hours, or they see you guys, the successful tycoons of the business, and they want to get where you are. What do you have to say to that financial planner who is currently sitting in a corner somewhere and doesn't know what's the next step or what should they do?
All right. Well, I think interestingly, growing up in the early stages, one would always hear within in the insurance industry, you write your own check.
Yes.
And that is basically the earliest and the easiest introduction for anybody to entrepreneurship. To get a sense and an idea of what it's like to work for yourself, but not necessarily by yourself. And like any business, like any industry, if you want to grow, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. In this industry, you need patience. You need to be resilient, because it is a lucrative industry. When you look at people who've already walked that journey. And unfortunately, walking that journey is not you start today and you're successful tomorrow. It takes time to build up your client base. It takes time to build up your income stream, because the value in our business, the value in our industry is what we call annuity income. Right? So if you've built up your client base, you've built up your client book, you get to a point where every month, as much as you're writing your own check, every month, as much as you have to earn a salary or a fee or a commission, but once you've built up a sustainable book, you can get to a point where you say, I'm going to take a holiday for 1 month. I'm going to take a 3-month sabbatical, and you're not going to have to worry about that in-contact SMS that comes in every month, because you already know it's a given.
It's taken care of.
It's taken care of. And in today's times, And especially I see this a lot with young people. They've got the energy, they've got the drive, they've got the exposure to the world, um, but the only lack, the only key element about short term is the patience to make it
To
happen.
stick it out.
To stick it out. But it's definitely worthwhile. The money is worthwhile. The relationships that you build with the different types of people you meet. You have people who you start off with being clients, who become friends.
Become family.
You know, who become
Yeah.
family because the perception that in our industry. They talk about insurance, they talk about investments. They think it's a transaction. It's not a transactional relationship. You know, it's a journey and a partnership, and for some people of a lifetime,
Yes.
where it starts with the father, the mother, the children, the grandchildren, who all know that in our household, this is our source of information when it comes to matters related to how we manage our money, how we create and maintain our legacy of intergenerational wealth in the family.
And then, because this is a money podcast and we keep it real in here, I'm going to ask the question that everyone secretly wants to know, which is, when did you make your first million? And what this meant for you? What this moment, this big moment meant for you?
Well, it was a very interesting journey. It took me some time. It took me some time because when I was really starting to find my feet in the industry, there were a lot of changes that were happening. We were just coming out of the global financial crisis. Regulations were changing. So the positive out of that is that we had to adapt our business. We had to pivot and go into areas where there was opportunity. And so that made the journey to my first million go a lot faster, even though I had to work a lot harder. But when it did happen, it wasn't an exciting moment, but it was a fulfilling moment of saying, here's a journey that I've traveled for so long and worked on so hard, and to reach that milestone, it was very fulfilling. It was a moment to pause and reflect, and then it was, yeah, on to the next one.
On to the next million.
Of course.
Okay, and then I want you to take me back a bit. Do you remember your very first client interaction and what it was like for you in that position, whereby you were sitting on the other side of the table and having to listen to whatever concerns or plans or goals that client had, and yeah.
My very first client interaction was probably one of the scariest moments of my life. By by nature, I'm a very introverted, quiet person. Um, so having to put myself out there, talking to people, asking people questions was a very daunting task. It was a very daunting time. I was nervous as I could ever be. And I remember, I mean, I was the youngest person in the room at the time, but here I am talking to people about their money and legacy and how what to do with their millions, etc. Um, but that very first client interaction was very daunting. But there was also my very first deal.
Yes.
I think that was also very exciting. When someone says, right, we need to do this, where do I sign on the dotted line? It says, well, clearly, I've had a goal, I've had an objective that I wanted to achieve. Finally, someone has seen value in what I have to offer. And yeah, those early days were tough. They were scary, but at the same time, they were very, very exciting and fulfilling to date.
And educational.
Of course.
Yeah. So you, I did hear that you have a lot of experience in the sector, and I just want to ask, what made you stay in the industry for all these years?
I think with time and with experience, knowing that I'm building firstly an annuity income stream for myself. So every month I'm not starting at zero, and with every client interaction, with every deal, it's adding more money in my back pocket, because ultimately that's what we do this for. Is to be able to earn a living and sustain our lives. So I got to a point where I really realized that this, with every month I'm making more and more and more and more money. So I don't know what it is to ask for a raise. I've never experienced having to need a raise. I've just felt that, hey, if I need more money, I need to work harder, get more deals, and I think that's what made me stay. But also, I alluded earlier to the fact that this business, the legacy of Bagasini Brokers, is my lived experience. So getting to understand how my life was when I was growing up, and what one had access to, what one was exposed to, and now that I'm a parent and a partner myself, being able to provide is very important, and knowing that I have a business that lends itself to that, allows me to stay the course. I would love, of course, for my own children to be part of the business if they also want to, but also I have siblings who were at some point part of the business. If my nieces and nephews show an interest, it's definitely something, and it's an option and an avenue that is available.
which most people are not privileged to have. Most people have limited resources and limited options in regards to the financial space. If I may go in depth with that, when we're in school, the only thing that connected us to finances was chartered accounting. When anyone did economics and accounting, you think, okay, when I grow up, I'm going to be a chartered accountant and not really a financial planner. And it's exciting that right now more and more young people are getting knowledge earlier to say, okay, this is a career that I can build for myself.
Mm.
This is a career that has produced many millionaires, including yourself, including yourself. And yeah, it is a very interesting career, and it's very fulfilling, as you say, because that's where you really meet the client's need, the client's impact. You meet your everyday South African person, and I'm sure you've had this many times whereby a person walks in your office and says, like, okay, Mr. Zweli, I have problems. I get paid every month, but I don't see where my money is going. Can you please help me? So what do you say to that person? Because I'm sure there is a lot, there is a lot of people that are currently facing that problem, to say they're getting paid, but they can't seem to make it work in regards to juggling expenses. Do they have enough income? They just don't know what to do or what they are doing wrong.
No, that's a very true win. In our country, we have a serious challenge with financial illiteracy, where people are living from paycheck to paycheck, and that's where the value of a financial planner comes in, or a financial advisor comes in, where you have those money conversations, and conversations about money are uncomfortable, but with people like myself and yourself, you have conversations that matter.
We do.
And again, to reinforce, it's very important to understand that getting the right financial advice, dealing with an authorized financial planner, like I said, it's not a transaction; it's a journey together, and that's why then it's really important for people not to get their financial advice from Umanko.
Yes.
That can have very devastating consequences. I've seen it many a time where people are getting the advice from their colleagues in the corridors at
And
work,
social media.
and social media. Um, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with people seeking out information, doing their own research.
Mm.
But ultimately, because you have to reach into your back pocket and spend money, make sure that you're spending your money in the right place, in the right way, so that you don't wake up ngakusasa kuthiwa sengizela phahla ibhanoyi.
And I think it's the problem that most people are experiencing because because of this frustration of not having enough disposable income, they find themselves looking for get quick rich schemes. On a day-to-day basis, they are looking for investments that say you put in 3,000, you get 50,000 in 3 months' time, which not necessarily seeking the right advice. So it circles back to seeking the right advice.
No, that's absolutely true. There's a saying that goes, a fool and his money are soon parted, easily parted.
Mm.
And if one is impatient, you then tend to make foolish decisions, and unfortunately, you crash and burn.
Mm.
But if you can't save pennies, as they say, you'll never save pounds.
Mm.
So it all starts with having the patience of saying, "Zobeka nje i-cent, phezu kwe-cent, phezu kwe-cent." And then eventually you will wake up one day and realize you've accumulated a valuable amount of wealth and value. Because the one thing that we need people to understand is, how does investing work? How does the economy work? How does compound interest work?
Mm.
Because Albert Einstein said compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. It's how you make money from no money. But again, it's a journey that requires patience, and you need to partner with someone on that journey who can empower you and who can save you from yourself as well.
Yes. Okay. So you touched on something that I think speaks to a lot of people, which is investing. And most people have the idea or they want to start doing it. But what advice do you have for someone who says, I want to start putting money away? What has best worked for your clients? I know that you do charge for financial advisory, but if you can just let them in on a quick tip, this is not financial advice, it's just factual information from yourself to say what works when you start your journey as an investor.
All right. For a lot of people, the concept of managing money, the concept of investing, it's almost it seems like an alien concept, something that doesn't exist.
For rich people.
Right? It's something only for rich people.
Yes.
But look at in our few communities, the discipline that people have when it comes to istokvel, the discipline that people have in making sure bayawukhokhela. So that already says that the basic concept of saving and investing, people have it.
Mm.
It's now a matter of saying, how do you make that work for you in the world of today? Right? Because we started off by saving money under the mattress.
Yes.
So that you don't spend it. Right? Remember I said you save money under the mattress so you don't spend it. But that money that you've saved, if you're leaving it under the mattress, it's not working for you. So now that you've gotten money, saved it, how do you make your money work for you? So you now invest it in a productive asset. Now, in my world, what is a productive asset? It's saying, well, I'm going to invest in a business, or I'm going to start a business. Now, if you've never started a business, why then waste money by starting a business? But how then can you participate? You can invest. How do you invest? You buy shares. Right? Now, for the common person in the street, buying shares is not ordinarily affordable. That's why we have things like unit trusts. right? If we talk about unit trusts in our world, some clients, their eyes want and they don't even know what I'm talking about. But if I say, okay, you understand the stock fella seven zaranja, right? Lots of people take little money, but they pool it into one big pool. And then they go and buy something that works for them. Oh, mama, I've seen them, they buy eat off that gas.
Yes.
I'm up board. Now, it's all good and well to say you're going to have a catering business on the weekend, but what happens when that material breaks down? Who's going to be servicing it? What's the security going to be like of it? Who's going to be buying the gas? So what do? Find a business that does that, buy shares in it. And then you know that if that business makes money as a shareholder, right, your money comes from what? Not from a salary, because when you're paying a salary, you're buying the skill. But you as a business owner, your value, your money comes from the profits and the dividends that you share without having done anything besides investing money in it.
Yeah, which is really powerful because I always say this in regards to investing. It's either you have a lot of money or you have a lot of time. So what do you have to say in regards to, you touched on compound interest, and compound interest does work and it's most effective when you have time in the market.
Yes.
So what do you have to say in regards to that?
Well, time in the market is important because creating value with money is not a get rich quick scheme. It takes time, patience, and dedication. And that's why when we sit with our clients, we ask them, what is your investment goal? What is your realistic time horizon? Right? Because you can't say in January, no, I'm going to save so much money so that I'm a millionaire by December. How realistic is that? It's good to have that goal to acquire wealth, but how realistic is it? Right? Considering that we have so many things that are fighting for our pockets. So what would be a worthwhile venture where you say, fine, I've got money, I can look after my daily living expenses, but I've saved some money that I can be able to invest and send my money somewhere where it can work for me and generate more money.
It's a very interesting way to dissect it, and I do like that. Instead of, finance bros have this myth of using big English big English jargon to confuse us as clients, and sometimes we get lost along the way and don't understand. But when we simplify it and put it towards something that we all relate to, which is stockpile. We all know stockpile. We all know stockpile stores of December, stockpile so good. I say nyaba. So it's a very understandable format of it. I do also want to talk about something that I have seen circulating around socials, which is opening a trust and putting your assets under a trust, that is your house, so that you make sure that your kids inherit, basically. Ultimately, because what we are doing, we are working to provide for our families and our kids. So to safeguard this assets that I have worked years to acquire, let me put it in a trust. What do you have to say, or what advice can you give to someone who wants to do that?
Okay. Trusts are very useful vehicles or entities to be able to manage assets, but they can also be very costly. From a tax point of view, they can be quite costly, and also it depends on the type of trust. You have a trust that you establish when you're still alive, which they call an inter vivos trust. Those are the kind of trusts where it's for rich people. If you want to have a living trust, an inter vivos trust, it's got to be, you've got to have a sizable asset base, because from a tax point of view, they can be quite costly.
Yes.
And then the other kind of trust, which I think is the one you're referring to, is what we call a testamentary trust.
Yes.
So that would be a trust that is established when someone passes away. So if I'm a father, you're a mother, we have young children, we have assets. For example, we have life cover, right? So obviously, because you've got people who do not have the legal capacity to be able to manage those assets and that money, that's when you can have it in your estate plan that when I pass away, I want a testamentary trust in the name of my children to be established. I want that trust to exist for so many years until they've grown up, and then those assets can be transferred into their own name. So there's definitely a scope. There's definitely a scope and a need for trust, especially if people have young children, but they have an asset base that once they pass on, they want the children's inheritance to be administered in the right and proper way according to the wishes. Then they can have in their estate plan that a testamentary trust be established for the benefit of their beneficiaries that they want to nominate.
For their minor kids. Yeah. It is very informative because many people hear about it on socials and see a lot of people saying, no, I have a trust, da, da, da. I tell you this, open the trust for me, and executive fees, which has been causing quite a havoc here and there. Many people have wills with accountable institutions, and some heard the saying that says, you can put your will with us, it's free, but don't know that there are certain implications that come after that. What can you judges do?
There's no such thing as a free lunch. And they always say the devil is in the detail. Every time a client or a person solves one problem, you create another. Right? You've used the example, organizations would say, come and do your free will with us. They've solved another problem, but they've created another along the line where you're talking about executors' fees. There's master's fees, there's property transfer fees, there's a whole lot of fees, even in death.
Yes.
And I think there are companies that we work with out there that have looked at that as a problem, and they've developed and come up with solutions which ultimately and hopefully will in the future be able to address those kinds of problems of what we call hidden costs.
Because whether you like it or not, SARS is coming to get your money. So there are costs to dying, as you mentioned. There are transfer costs, there are masters fees, there's estate duty. How can one plan for that?
Well, it's important once again to sit down with a financial planner, because you remember that a financial planner in that conversation, in that journey, they're looking at your whole life from a financial perspective to say what will cost you money, right? As in you will need to have money for it, and those situations that you can prepare for. How do you do that? So that's why things like life cover policies have a place to play, have a role to play. Funeral cover policies have a role to play. Even estate policies have a role to play. And that's why when you sit with a financial planner, it's about understanding you as a person, your life, what are your life goals, and looking at what are the financial solutions, right? What are the financial solutions that are out there that can assist in that journey?
Because each financial plan is tailored to your specific needs. So what advice you can get is different from what I can get, because me and you are living completely different lives. As you mentioned that you're a father, I'm your partner. For sure, you do have other dependents that you need to take care of. I also have my own personal story that is different, that has different needs and different solutions to it. So often people get confused to what you can use life cover for. If you could just tell me a bit about it to safely explain in layman's terms What is life cover? What can it be used for, and who needs it?
Okay. Life cover, siyasithi usalabela,
Mm.
right? Usalabela.
Yes.
So if you're a father, you're a mother, a husband, or a wife, and you probably have children, and in our communities you have extended family that you look after, people who are financially dependent on you. And the quickest and the easiest way I can think about it, if you're a parent, you have children that you need to raise, and you need to raise your children until they become independent financially, they become responsible citizens. Now, in the journey of parenthood and raising these responsible citizens, unfortunately, life can happen before you fulfill that mission.
Yes.
Okay? Now, unfortunately, life insurance cannot replace you as a mother, as a father, as a brother, as a son. But what life insurance can do is that it can replace you financially because you forecasted it in my journey of looking after these people until there comes a time that I think they can stand for themselves. It will cost me so much per month. And all we do with life cover is saying, let's work out how much is that amount in going to the future, right? And then it's a matter of if now you died today, how much does that money need to be? Because you're not gonna bring these monthly paychecks anymore.
Yes.
So life cover says, let's bring all of these checks up front now, right? So you're not making that abazosala beyidla. But nakhona, we don't want your dependents to become candidates for that show, right, where they blow stuff.
Yes.
That's where now your estate plan now comes in to say, I took out this 3 million rands life cover policy so that when I pass away, my wife, my children, you will miss me physically and spiritually and emotionally, but you will still feel me financially.
Mm.
Because although I'm not there physically, I'm still available to you financially. But instead of me giving you all this money, then in my estate plan, you establish things like trust funds, where you say, now this 3 million rands, instead of it being paid out to them as a lump sum, I want it to pay out on a monthly basis until my children are 18 or until they've qualified from tertiary. Then it becomes their inheritance. So that's the value and the role that life cover can play. It's saying, although you are gone physically, isandla sakho kodwa sasizwa financially because of that policy that you took.
That you put in place. There's a saying that I like to say that says, life cover is another form of love. Can someone please write that down somewhere and quote me and quote me to say Wendy said life cover is another form of love, because it really does express how much you love to take care of your dependents, how much you love to take care of your family. Okay, before we wrap it up, I want to give you a scenario, a fun scenario to play around. What advice can you give someone who is earning a 5,000 rand salary, which is the reality for some, if not most, of South Africans? They're earning a 5,000 rand salary and they want to budget or make it work.
Right. So the first thing we say is pay yourself first. Now, what does pay yourself first mean? Look at your budget. Our standard is to say you must save at least 10 to 15% of what you earn. Just save that so you can invest it. Because you know that your salary, when your salary comes, it's not yours. That salary has obligations. You've got rent to pay, you've got school fees to pay, you've got transport, so your money, when it comes, it already has people already waiting for it. So that's why we say the first thing you pay yourself first. Right? Again, being realistic is also important. But say, in my budget, as much as everything is a stretch, we know that times economically are hard, but make it a point, have the discipline of paying yourself first. Now, I've said, we say between 10 to 15, maybe even 20%. But look at one person say, oh, 5,000 rand, 20% is gone. Kodwa, izodlala kanjani i-stokvel? But i-stokvel you already said.
Yes.
So factor that into that 10% or 15% of paying yourself first, where you're saying there's money that I'm sacrificing to spend now, but I'm putting it somewhere where it's going to work for me in the future. So my advice in answer to that question is, please, the first thing you do, pay yourself first.
Which is really profound, because the true analogy about putting money away or investing or saving is, it's not about the amount. It's about the discipline and the consistency. Because if you can't save on a 5,000 rand salary, how are you going to save on a 50,000 rand?
Absolutely.
Because on a 50,000 one, you are going to have expenses, because there's this thing that says more money, more problems. More problems and more things to spend on. We're living in difficult times whereby you get people having a serious influx of expenses. When I get a raise, you mentioned raise earlier, when I get a raise, I need to upgrade my car. I need to move to a better complex. I need to take my kids to a better school. So my expenses are adjusting and keeping up. There's no such thing as free money that I'll have on the side. Before we close, I wanted to ask, do you have anything to say to a regular South African who is currently going through it, or in your times, I think you used to call it stress. Right now, we call it mgo. Siagoa, and we just don't know what to do with ourselves. What do you have to say from a financial point of view?
Yeah, I think it's important. I would say whenever we have problems, they always say it's important to talk about it. It's important to talk to someone. More importantly, talk to someone who knows about the issue. And let's be open to engaging with financial advisors and financial planners. I know that historically, our industry has a reputation about people who only want to sell you another policy or sell you another investment. And I think our regulatory environment, the legislation, the laws and the rules we work within in the environment in our industry now are saying, if you're a financial planner, if you're a professional financial advisor, it's not just about selling another policy. It's about saying, how can I add value to this person from a financial point of view? And more importantly, I must be held accountable. Right? Accountability is important. So in that engagement between myself and yourself as a client and myself as an advisor, we must both be held to account. I must hold you accountable to say, are you saving? Do you have the right cover? But also, as your advisor, am I giving you the right advice? Am I offering the right product and the right solution? And if then we have that journey in partnership, then we will ultimately see the value and reap the rewards of that relationship.
Thank you very much for this insightful interview. It was very informative, and I think our listeners will take it to great value and learn a lot from it. If we want to get in contact with you, where can we find you? Are you available on socials? Contact details here, there.
All right. I'm available on all social media platforms that you can think of. The only one I'm not on is TikTok. I'm not on TikTok yet because it takes a lot of time. But I'm on Facebook, Zulihle Makojo. Our Kakasini Brokers, we have a Facebook page. I think those are probably the best platforms. But I am also available on WhatsApp. I think it's also a very convenient platform to engage.
Yes.
So people can reach out to me on WhatsApp on my number, which is 084 363 1000, 084 363 1000, or they can visit our website www.gagassinibrokers.co.za.
It was really lovely engaging with you, Mr. Makoja, and thank you.